Howdy folks, how's it going out there in YouTube land? Adam Booker here with another review. Today, the shirt says it all. REMIC microphones. Got hip to this company thanks to Mr. Lloyd Goldstein, an amazing bass player, wonderful human being, great friend of mine. And he said, you need to try these guys out. And so I shot them an email, and I'm happy to say that I'm an endorsing artist of REMIC microphones now. And yeah, I just want to do that in the interest of full disclosure, but there's a reason why. These things are that good. They have two microphones that I'm going to be discussing today for double bass. They're both called the 5400. One's the 5400 designed for studio. I'll call that REMIC Red. And the other one's the 5400LB, which I guess stands for live bass. There are some distinctions between the two. The studio version is, as one would guess, is made for the studio. We'll go through some tests with that one. And then the LB version is made for live bass, just playing out in clubs and playing on big stages. These are fantastic microphones. I'm not just saying that because I'm wearing the t-shirt. I'm saying that because they really are fantastic microphones. I've tried almost everything under the sun. I've had DPA on my bass. I've had Shirtler on my bass. I've had a lot of different pickups. These are the quintessential my bass, only louder. So we'll just go through a series of tests. I'm going to talk to you a little bit about the signal path that we'll be running today. So it's going to be, on both of the tests, it'll be the REMIC Red or the REMIC Green, going through Grace Design's Felix, which is another new piece of gear that really deserves its own review as well, because that's pretty much the Cadillac of preamps. I'll say it now, and I'll probably say it again throughout this review. Yes, you want one. They also make smaller versions of it, but the reason why I picked the Grace Felix is because it provides 48-volt phantom power. Now, both of these microphones require phantom power. Will they run on your Headway EDB2? Yeah, they will, but they'll be wanting more juice the whole time. And I've tried it on my Headway, and it worked just fine. But man, it sounds so much better through the Felix. So with that being said, let's get through the various reviews. So what do you get when you get a REMIC microphone? Well, you get these guys. So you can see here's the green one, here's the red one. They come in these nifty little boxes. There's even a picture on the back that shows you how to mount the microphone on the instrument. So the red, of course, is the studio version. The green, of course, is the live bass version, the 5400LB. So let me show you what else happens here. So you open up the box. I know I promised I wasn't going to do an unboxing kind of thing, so at least I didn't open up the actual box, but check this out. So you get the cool little case, and if this isn't enough, then you get a nice little pouch right here, okay? And the pouch holds the microphone. Now you're probably wondering, what does the microphone look like? It's really cool. This is the microphone. That's all it is. This little nifty little foam guy right here. The microphone unit is in there. You can see that there's one of the capsules, or the capsule, pointing outward, and then there's a little hole there that I guess leads to the capsule pointing inward. This guy right here is an anchor. Now let me show you how this guy mounts up onto your bass. Oh yeah, one more really cool thing. So the handling noise. A lot of studio cats talk about handling noise. How loud is the microphone when you're moving it around? This is the cable. It looks like a shoestring. It weighs absolutely nothing. There's going to be very little weight on the actual instrument itself. So this is the live version. The REMIC Red version is pretty much the same thing. Slightly different capsule on the inside, voiced a little differently. You'll hear that. So let me pick up my bass here, and I'll show you how it mounts up. So here's my old German girl. Take this little foam wedge thing right here. Mounts up real easy. So you know, if you're on the road and you have to use different basses, but you still want that good microphone sound, it doesn't weigh anything. So you can put this in your carry-on, you can put this in your overhead. Might have to answer some questions with the TSA, but that's it. While I was talking, it mounted in there. Check this out. So this little anchor guy goes right here, kind of holds the microphone in place. Use the pressure of the fingerboard onto the top plate of the instrument. Mounts right up like that. You can tighten it up just a little bit. Creates a really nice little seal to the top plate of the bass. And you just take this little shoestring, which is the actual cable, bring it around back. Just goes right behind the instrument like that. Now, if you're an audience member and you're thinking, "Wow, that bass sounds incredible," I don't see anything on it. There's no, I have a pickup on this guy, but you don't really see the cable running from the instrument. It's dark. It's a black shoestring looking thing. The microphone itself is underneath the fingerboard. It's picking up the vibrations here, and what I'm really digging about is it's picking up a little bit of the fingerboard noise too. I don't have it plugged in at the moment, but you get the idea. You'll hear plenty of that. So it's getting a lot of great sound, plus there's another little portion of the capsule is pointing downward, so it's picking up sound off the top of the plate, it's picking up the vibration of the top plate, and then it's picking up some of the vibration from the fingerboard. It's pretty much all the things that you need to get the double bass sound and completion. Yeah, so that's pretty much it. That's all it takes to mount the sucker onto your bass. Pretty cool, huh? So what you're hearing right now is actually the bleed from the REMIC 5400 studio version. I'm going to call it the REMIC Red from here on out. You can hear in the sound of my air conditioning unit. You're hearing the sound of my voice. I'm not actually talking into the mic. I'm just talking around the mic. So for live applications, this could be problematic, but this is designed for studio work. It's not designed to be taken out on the bandstand. Just something that you want to think about when you're deciding between whether or not you want to put down the money for one or the other, or for both. I'm going to take a second to talk about the signal path that we're working with here. We have the REMIC Red, the 5400 studio version, running into a Grace Designs Felix, which is awesome. If you have the coin, get one. Just get one. Yes, you want one. Yes, you need one. And then that's going straight into the Zoom Q8. So we're going to try a little bit of bow work first, and then we'll play with a little jazz app that I have, and we'll see about how this sucker works on a studio-like application. Notice nothing's running through an actual DAW, nothing's going into any kind of software or any kind of real hardcore studio quality microphone preamp, except maybe the Grace Designs. That's an M101 in there, so that's a pretty nice pre, no matter what, you know. That's just a really nice preamp, so yes, you want one. REMIC Red, just a little bit of the pizzicato by itself. probably try to notch out some of that woof, 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 all that stuff that's happening. I don't really want to for the purposes of this exercise, though, because it's supposed to be a complete review, but picking up a lot of that going on in here. Running everything flat. Yeah, there we go. See? So that's why this is a studio mic. This is a studio mic. Everything's pretty much flat on the Grace Designs Felix. It's beefy as all get out, I'm not gonna lie. It's nice, it's a great woody sound. I mean, I'm getting some great pluck out of it. But, well, can you imagine putting some drums next to it? Well, we don't really have to. I got this iPad app really well cranked up. There goes some of that feedback. Yeah, so it's a testy little booger when you're on the stage, but let's see what happens. Bring down the input gain just a bit.
2, 1, 2.
There's that. I'm not sure if it's picking up, so I think what I'm going to do next is I'm just going to run a line from the amp into the Q8, and I'm going to let this guy play so you can hear exactly how much is going to be bleeding out of your amplifier if you use the studio version of the REMIC on a live gig. I could see this being used for like if it's just you and a guitar player or you and a piano player in a small room, real quiet. Great listening room, but I wouldn't try to take this guy out to a loud, busy bar gig. All right, so let's set that up real quick, and we'll see what we can do. Okay. All right, just the REMIC, and you can hear it. It's coming. This is just a direct line out of my amplifier. That's a whole lot of bleed, isn't it? So if the band were getting really busy, I can see how this could be an issue on stage. But don't worry, there is another option, and we'll get to that right in a second. It's the REMIC D5400LB. It's the live version, and it's supposed to have a heck of a lot more off-axis rejection, which means it's not picking up everything around you. So I'm going to set that up, and we'll check that out. Okay, I'm back with the D5400LB. I still have the line being run from my amplifier straight into the direct out of the amplifier into the Q8. So you'll be picking up a little bit of bleed there, but it's not nearly as intense as you were getting with the studio version. Also, there's a couple of sonic differences between the LB and the studio version. First off, the LB is voiced for live applications. There's a whole lot of bass in this guy. It's not nearly as high frequency as the studio version is. It's not picking up a lot of those really extreme upper highs and mids. All right, so now I want to check out the bleed from the 5400LB. We're going to just go ahead and, like we did earlier, play the app, the Pete Erskine Jazz Essentials application on the iPad, running through just what speaker system in my house. Not too loud, not too soft though. Hopefully give you an idea of what you're going to encounter on a club. Yeah, and I'm also still running it straight into the amplifier. You're not going to hear a whole lot of, not nearly as much bleed as you did from the 5400. Check it out. From the 5400LB into the Grace Felix, direct into the Q8, and I've also got the iPad app going into the Q8 as well, direct in. At the moment, I've got the XY front-facing microphone set up. I just want to take a second so you can hear just the direct sound of this guy. This is the live version of the REMIC 5400. Now, I mean, that's pretty darn good, to say the least. Just so you know, I've actually had to roll off some of the low end on this guy for the live version, and I've played a couple gigs with it so far, and I've actually had to roll down the low end. Here's what it sounds like with the low end not rolled off. At the high pass filter set for a cutoff somewhere around 30 hertz. If you're wearing headphones, it's kicking those 808s, not a problem. And it's super clean, just super clean. Everything else is running pretty flat though, flat on the mids, flat on the high end, no boost to speak of. Everything is just super flat, and that's so I'm gonna roll off a little bit of the mids and change, work with the high pass filter just a little bit so I can get some of that overall boominess out of the way. Cut about 60 dB on the low as a shelf cut, and then the high pass filter is set somewhere around 40. So, that's a pretty respectable sound. That's something that you could actually use at a gig without blowing out or kicking in those subs and getting like huge feedback happening. It's a very useful sound for me. So now we're going to try it out with a little bit of the iPad app. Arco test. REMIC Green Arco test with cables in the way. So there you have it, folks. Those are the REMIC microphones, the green and the red. The green is for live bass applications, the 5400LB, and the red is for studio applications. They're fantastic for what they do. I could definitely see using the red in a studio where there's not a lot of gobos, not a lot of separation between the instruments. That could come in right handy when you're trying to do like a live jazz recording. You don't want too much separation. A little blood is good, right? If it bleeds, it breathes. But, you know, you can't get right up close to the drummer with the red version, with the studio version. There will be some feedback, and there'll be a lot more bleed than you'd probably want for, like, a really hardcore, high-end studio record. But there's just enough in there to make it feel like it's a live recording, which is one of my goals when I'm recording an album. The REMIC Green, the 5400LB, works great for live applications, playing out in clubs. I could really crank my amplifier up pretty darn loud before feedback. But still better sound than any pickup I've ever used. If I'm going for that traditional, just acoustic bass sound, it really is the best thing I've ever played through. And of course, you know, with the Grace Design Felix, that has the 48-volt phantom power that you want for it. Yeah, it'll work through a headway. I've tried it. But it sounds so much better with 48 volts. So you could even probably get away with getting just a 48-volt phantom power supply. Radial makes a great one. I have. Yeah, so, you know, the mics are fantastic. I highly recommend them. I highly recommend the company, REMIC. They're great. They have a fantastic lineup of artists. These are designed for large stage applications. They're not necessarily designed for playing at smalls on the weekend or playing, you know, at a bar gig or anything like that, but they definitely work for that. And, you know, tone is money, so why not play with the best tone you could possibly get your hands on? So anyway, hope you enjoyed the review. Check me out at www.adambookeronbass.com. I have an album out called Unraveled Rival on the Shifting Paradigm Records label. And you can find me at the University of Minnesota Duluth, where I teach double bass and jazz studies. Hope you guys are having a wonderful day, and keep on playing.